If they take what I buy, I might just go and take it back. Sony's doing it again. Thanks for checking out this video by Switch to Linux. If you like this type of content, subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. Yes, this was far more pressing than Windows Wednesday, and occasionally I would like to take a break from that. But today, of course, we want to talk about Sony stealing more content from users who have bought it. And this is an important thing, and it's not altogether unanticipated. Back in December 8th of 2023, I actually had this weekly news roundup, and we were talking here about Sony reaching on into your PlayStation and deleting a bunch of things. The most common was Mythbusters. Now, I can't remember. I think they kind of backtracked this on a little bit, but yeah, not quite far enough. The original article that we quoted from was users already paid for their content. Yeah, there you go. PlayStation to delete a ton of content that users already paid for. Now, this is interesting because obviously there is a difference between renting something and buying something. And I can look back over my years looking at digital content and things. And I think that the first thing that I bought without any form of understanding that it may or may not expire was actually an old school ebook, which was delivered in the form of a PDF from Amazon, excuse me, Scamazon. And it just said buy, and it was an old out of print book. And I picked that guy up, and it was a downloadable PDF. And like 6-8 months later, the PDF simply expired. I couldn't even open it anymore. I was like, what's going on here? You know? And that was really frustrating. And so probably around that similar time period, I also ended up picking up and, quote unquote, buying a digital movie. Of course, this is far before Amazon Prime. You could still buy digital content on Amazon. And learning my lesson the first time, I used a screen recording program and made my own copy of that because I bought it. I didn't rent it. Now, there was one instance ever where I rented a movie on Amazon. And it was a couple bucks, like $2 or $3. And this is when I was working on my book, I Am Not Amused, which is, to this day, one of my absolute best, most researched books. Christian faith looking at modern media entertainment from an angle you would not expect. I'd highly recommend picking that book up. But in there, I was analyzing different movies, and there was one movie I had seen, which is the movie Devil. And I had seen Devil before. I'd only seen it once, so I kind of wanted to see it again because I was mentioning it, and I want to make sure I had the context right, and a couple paragraphs about it went into the book. But I also knew it wasn't a book that was, or a movie I was like, oh, I just got to have this for my collection. And I was really ready to write that part of the book that day, and so I didn't want to wait for something, order it, wait for something. It wasn't like in a movie so amazing I just want to keep a copy forever. So I just sat on Amazon and rented it with my total knowledge and understanding in the forefront. I'm going to pay Amazon a couple dollars. I'm going to be able to watch this movie right now. In fact, I'm going to be able to watch it as many times as I want over the next, it was either 24 or 48 hours before it expired. And I am perfectly okay with that setup. I mean, that's what we used to do. Now I might have been into a Blockbusters once or twice, but we had a lot of home rental movie stores that I've been to. We grew up on home rental movie stores. You go in, you drop a couple bucks, you get a movie for the weekend, you watch a couple movies, it's a great time, you take them on back. That's renting. I have no problem if someone like Amazon wants to rent me a movie for a couple dollars. Full understanding up front, you're going to pay a very small fee, couple dollars. We're going to deliver you this movie. You can watch it right now on any device that you want, but after a certain period of time, it's going to expire, and that's a very short period of time. I'm okay with that premise. That's okay. What I'm not okay with is if they say, hey, you can rent it or you can buy it. But then even the buying is a license that they can revoke at any time. And that is what Sony is getting involved in right now. And of course, not only this article here, which actually covered a lot of TV shows, this one actually covers an excellent analysis after Sony is removing over 550 different movie titles from PlayStation libraries. And there's some discussion in here about how Valve did this differently. And so we hear all these topics running around saying, what if buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing. Now, I have never particularly engaged in the art of piracy. Obviously, I do not endorse such things. But at the same time, if we live in a world that I have absolutely no option but to perpetually pay money, and you can completely pull that out all the time at any point in time, I kind of start having a problem. So as I like curating my movie collection, I am always going to buy a movie that I want that is available for sale in a physical copy. Because I want to have a physical copy of my movie collection. Now, I may or may not have a bunch of movies on the NAS behind me, but at the same time, that is completely offline. So even if there would be something there, it is no way anybody can go from the outside, and that thing's even blocked from accessing the internet. So, we're in okay shape right here as far as my movies. And if I have a super tight month and I can't afford my $150 for various streaming services, I'm not out my entertainment. I still have lots of things I can watch. And the reality is, we need a world where it is possible for us to have a collection that we buy. And what the article here mentions, though, in this particular situation is that it's not that people would go on to Sony and it would say purchase a license or license this movie. It said, in fact, buy next to that same button on Amazon. On Amazon, I could buy the movie or I could rent the movie. And the buying was more like, $5, $6, $7. And the rent would be like $2 or $3. And Sony had that same option. You could go to a movie and you could rent it for a smaller dollar amount, or you could buy it for a bigger dollar amount. And the word buy was there. But now they come to it, and a few years later, they decide that 550 movies will no longer be on the platform. And that means that not only are they no longer available to be purchased from PlayStation, but they are going to reach through the internet onto that machine that must be perpetually connected. They're going to rip the content out of your account off of your device in your house using your internet connection. They are just outright engaging in theft. They are stealing stuff. I don't want them to come on into my house and start flipping through my DVD library and start taking my DVDs out of my house. That would be ridiculous. We would know that for what it is. It would be robbery. It would be theft. All right. But now they can use my internet that I pay for, reach into my device that I paid for, and my account that I paid for, and then you still pay for those, right? I think you do. And then my movies I pay for, and they just decide to delete them. Now, Valve does this a little bit differently. If something becomes unavailable, you can no longer buy it, but it does retain being in your Steam account. Even if something becomes illegal to sell in your country, it is still in your account if you paid for it, and it is just no longer on your public profile. And so that's an interesting take on that as well, which of course I would support that, because I want to support anything that gives people the full right to have that stuff. But the fact of the matter here is, though, I'm also not standing for piracy where the options are. And that's really where the title of this article comes into play. Piracy is not a pricing issue. It is a service issue. And I completely agree with that. This is why I will never pirate anything I can buy a physical copy for. There are, in fact, movies I had been looking for a long time. Even checking Amazon. There's one particular movie that looked really interesting. It looked right down the alley of things I would like to watch. And I looked for it on Amazon. I'm like, $50. A little too much. And I couldn't find it anywhere else. Couldn't find it. Eventually, I check Amazon again one more time. Hey, there's one copy available. Somebody's selling for $10. I'm buying it. Now I own a physical copy of that particular movie, the physical disc for it. And that really is what I'm going to do. I'm going to always do that. That is even on my authoring approach. Of course, I have two science fiction books, one of those being Synaptergy, tlm.li/s, or Code Red, tlm.li/Code Red. You can pick up any of those books. Now, with those, I make them available DRM free wherever I can do it. I actually think recently my main distributor started adding DRM, and I sent them a nasty email like, what are you doing? I did not add these. So I will extend this offer. If you buy a copy of my book digitally and it is DRM locked, you provide for me a proof of purchase of that, and I will give you a copy of that DRM free that you can use on any device that you want. Obviously, I do not want people distributing my books online. I make money off of those. I pay my bills with those. But I provide you a means to buy a physical copy or buy an actual digital copy that you can, that is yours. It doesn't expire and it's not tied to a platform. That's the type of thing that I want to do. So I will go after you if you're trying to distribute my books. But if you are looking for a DRM-free copy that you can use that book in whatever means you see fit, that is obviously not breaking the general copyright laws under that provision, I'm okay with that. Just have that respect that I am providing a way that you can physically buy it, digitally buy it, and you own that digital copy you bought. And that's the way that they need to be doing these. So that's what's going on down here. Piracy is not a pricing issue. It is a service issue. What he's getting at here is they are developing all of these services that cannot, these services here cannot be, they're just bad services. Let me just put it that way. My train of thought is derailed there. The services are really bad. You buy a subscription to Netflix and your stuff constantly rotates in and out. That can be annoying. Or like I've seen there's a couple, like there's a gentleman I know that is a wonderful Christian gentleman in the audiobook industry, and he was trying to battle like Amazon with audiobooks and ebooks and digital marketing stuff. And I felt so bad. It's like, I'm not your customer either, because everything else, everything he was doing is completely tied to the app and completely tied to the service. And I also know the service is not doing well financially. So if I were to go in and spend $100 buying a bunch of things on this platform and they end up going belly up, guess what? I just lost $100. Okay. Because it's a service issue. I am not going to be buying something off of a platform that is licensing me the content, not selling me the content. I am not going to engage in letting out my money for something that I have a long-term expectation of keeping. Obviously, if I'm just quote-unquote renting it for a day, and it's very clear this is a 1-2 day rental for $1 or $2, I'm okay with that. Perfectly fine with that. But do not sit here and strip away my ability to find a physical copy and then want to sell it to me on some licensing deal to simply pull the licenses away. That's ridiculous. And so a lot of what is in here, I've already actually mentioned here. But I did want to have a brief look at some of the comments. There were obviously some bangers in here. Let's see. Shady move by Sony. The least they could do is offer store credit. Oh, yes. That's the other thing I didn't mention. They're like, yes, you're going to lose access to all these things. And no, you're not getting a refund. So, but Sony could offer store credit, and they say it's their fault they lost the license, not the customer who purchased it. But this is, I think, the problem that our world is moving into right now, is we are moving into this crazy world that is simply starting to just not really care to to battle this stuff. I see it all you scroll through Twitter, you see all these people, piracy is right, piracy. This is so bad. Why are all these subscriptions? Because you people keep on buying them. I'm not buying subscriptions. I have never paid for Netflix. I have never paid for Amazon Prime. I have never paid for any other subscription-based service like that. And I have zero intention of doing so. The reason this is happening is because you guys that keep on complaining about it are still doing it. I see it all the time. I see people, Netflix is evil. Let's watch this on Netflix. What are you doing? Have a little integrity. You know, that's the same channel here. You know how many of the privacy-focused channels still use Windows and Mac to edit their software because it's easier for them? I'm sorry, I'm a FOSS guy. I don't got a Windows computer in this house. I do 100% on Linux, baby. Okay? I have this thing called integrity. All right. So, I'm not going to sit here and bemoan Windows while I'm using it. You know, big companies and authors should be pirated as much as possible. I disagree with that to an extent, obviously, not just because I'm an author, but if you are making a way to purchase that, either a digital purchase or a physical purchase available to me, I will absolutely not engage in piracy. It will not happen. And I do not endorse piracy in any way, shape, or form either. But I am not going to be mad at somebody that they paid $5,000 in content in PlayStation to have it all ripped away from them. That's crazy. All right. So I do disagree with that premise there. They should understand that only they and on their own money should protect their rights and not the state with state money frequently happening. Okay. If I understand what this commenter is getting at here, I think that he's kind of saying that, yeah, the state should not issue anything. So I think that's what he's actually saying is, hey, we need to do away with some of these laws. And again, I kind of disagree with that a little bit. And the reason is a guy that does that is a guy who's never created anything. It takes a tremendous amount of time to write a book. It takes a tremendous amount of time to get it out there and to market it. Now, if you're so short-sighted, you do not allow you're so tight-handed, you're so worried about piracy, you will never let a copy of that go. Everything's licensing. Screw you. Big textbook company, Macmillan. I don't know if they're still on this. I imagine they've probably shifted out. But back when everybody like Pearson, I did some work in the ed tech world. Like Pearson was all licensing their books and all of the other ones, Prentice Hall, whatever else. All of these guys were doing that. Macmillan's like, yeah, we did a little bit of research and we found that piracy is not really happening with these books, so we're not going to bother locking them down. Now, I imagine they've probably since changed their tune, but that was a long time ago. So yeah, I think we need to have some basic laws, some basic laws about piracy. Nobody should go to the library, rip a DVD, and then put it onto the internet for the whole world to download. I completely agree. That should be totally illegal. But to go out and buy a movie and put it into a digital collection, that should be perfectly legal, and nobody should be able to say one thing or the other about it. So that's the part I'm going to agree with that comment. I think the biggest reason reason I see people wanting to watch things on piracy website isn't the price, and it's definitely isn't just the fact they can practically rip us off and take our money for nothing. It's also the fact that there may be something someone wants to watch and the paid content doesn't include it. Therefore, the only option is to find it online to even be able to watch it. You may have Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, Crunchyroll, and still not find the show or movie you want with those apps. Then what? You can't just watch it? think again. It's somewhere. Put it out there on the internet. It's easy to find. I think of, I'm from that generation, so Salute Your Shorts was big in our generation, right? Obviously, they've never released them on DVD. In fact, I saw a really fascinating show on why it was canceled and things like that. And Danny Crooksey, one of the Danny Butnick, he was he's been for many years keeping the cast together and lobbying to get that released onto DVD. The problem is they had too much music and the rights would cost too much for what they think they're going to make. So, of course, you can download them all on the Internet Archive. They're not the best quality, and they have all the episodes, but they're out of order. So I had to grab those since they're available on the Internet Archive, all public stuff. I downloaded a copy of those and then ran them through the editors and stuff, like the season information databases, and I fixed all the titles up. I don't know. Maybe I should re-upload this to Internet Archive with the correct order. I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing. You know, I would love to buy if they release that out. Hey, Danny, if you're watching this, if you release it on DVD, you got a customer. I'm gonna buy it. Okay, let's go. Salute Your Shorts. Thumbs up for Salute Your Shorts on DVD remastered. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, so I think the last thing I kind of wanted to mention here is what can you do if you're one of these that has this? Well, I would recommend if you don't have a capture card, you can pick one up, or you can do a screen recorder or some other means. Hey, you can watch that stuff and record your screen, just saying. Of course, I would highly recommend not doing that or only do it in Minecraft. I don't know, whatever. But the fact is that if you bought it, I'm not going to bereave you of holding on to your favorite things out of that collection before it completely disappears. And that will disappear September 1st. So you got a little bit of time. I don't know. Let me know what you guys happen to think about all that in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. And I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.